Save $2 on imported red potatoes, $4.99 for a 5-pound bag. Fresh certified Angus beef, top sirloin steak, $8.99 per pound. Kraft American cheese singles, $3.99 for an 8-ounce package. Post Great Grain cereal, $6.59 for a 16-ounce. Select varieties. Cool Treat, save $2.06 on Magnum ice cream bars, $5.29 for a 3-pack. All stores open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
You're watching Bermuda Tonight. It's Friday, the 14th of September. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us. Relations between workers and management at Belco are reported to be tense after staff met with their representatives from the Electricity Supply Trade Union, or ESTU, this morning. Those talks follow news that Belco is to outsource its communications and marketing department, resulting in 3 non-unionized workers being made redundant. Donald Lattimore, president of the ESTU, told Gary Moreno why it was necessary for the union to meet with the company's workers this morning, despite the 3 sacked employees not being members of the union.
We're in the midst of negotiations, and regardless of the intent of dismissing non-unionized employees, you affected the morale, and the term good faith seemed like it wasn't really being honored. So we need to make sure that our membership knew that these things are being discussed, that they don't get the next call, in some cases, home sick, that you're no longer working at Belco.
How many workers have been impacted thus far? We're hearing, apart from the 3 staff at the communications and marketing department, that there could be as many as 27 employees who've been dismissed in recent times.
You have, just in this current administration, you would also have to look really the senior executive. Below that, you have your executive managers, and there are about 10 or 11 long-serving people that started as apprentices. What we need to do is make clear to our membership and also clear to Bermuda that we are here and we are making sure that Bermudian workers, and particularly after we saw the social media blitz of information, that we are making sure our members had a clear understanding of what we understood had happened, and that we are keeping a watchful eye and preparing that if need be, we need to make sure that their rights are protected and if any potential redundancies.
Mr. Lattimore indicated there were no plans by the union to engage in industrial action, although we have been reliably informed such action was considered. But it was decided that a more measured approach should be adopted at this point, a decision we're told did not sit well with some of the membership. Elsewhere, it has been confirmed the union leadership met with Walton Brown, the Minister of Home Affairs. That was to discuss the situation at Belco's parent company, Ascendant, and was said to involve a foreign national who was meant to be appointed vice president of communications at the firm, but was denied a work permit. The ministry last night saying an investigation had been launched into how the company handled the application and the subsequent redundancies at the communication and marketing department, which has now been outsourced. There has so far been no word on the nature or outcome of the discussions between the union and the minister. In other news, Bermudians traveling to the European Union using their UK passports could face difficulties if Britain fails to secure an agreement before it departs the EU next March. As Turai Trot reports, a no-deal scenario has the potential to cause widespread travel chaos, with Bermudians potentially feeling the pain too.
As it stands, the UK is scheduled to depart the European Union in March 2019. But so far, with the European Union and the UK unable to agree on a post-Brexit arrangement, one area of disruption could be the ability of British citizens, including Bermudians, who travel to the EU under their British citizen passports to travel to the 27-nation bloc. Currently, there is no requirement for British citizens traveling to the EU to have a minimum or maximum amount of time left on their passports before they expire. This is likely to change without a deal. And without a post-Brexit deal, British citizens would be treated as third-party nationals like the United States and Canada and could be required to obtain visa clearance before travel, although the British government says such a scenario is unlikely. A UK government notice, however, advises citizens to check the date of their passports and ensure the document is no older than 9 years and 6 months on the day of travel. If your passport does not meet this criteria, they warn you may be denied entry to the EU Schengen area post-March 2019. The UK is already planning to reintroduce the classic navy blue passports in late 2019 once it has left the EU. These documents will not have the words European Union at the top of the cover page as they currently do. Tarai Trott reporting for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
We'll have more for you after this short break, including a stark warning from the police after violence at a cricket club, plus all the latest weather news. Stay with us.
You can count on us.
Save $2 on fresh boneless pork sirloin chops, just $2.99 per pound. Pretty Lady extra large red or white seedless grapes, $3.99 per pound. Only 99 cents for select varieties of 6-ounce Yoplait yogurt. A healthy snack, Mott's applesauce, $3.19 for a 6-pack of select varieties. Save more than half price on 4-roll package bathroom 2-ply toilet tissue, only 89 cents. Visit our website, www.marketplace.pm, for more super specials.
You can count on us.
We get really excited about the idea of taking care of the environment and our people and our guests, so that the entire experience from when they wake up and come through Bermuda into St. George's and into Tobacco Bay, we're taking care of that entire experience. What we really take a lot of pride in is servicing our 3 values: our environment, our people, our guests. There's been multiple times where guests will come to Tobacco Bay and they've had a great time, and then, well, they had some difficulty getting back. So we have transported people to Grotto Bay, into town, and we've used all sorts of ways to help people to cap off a great time here at Tobacco Bay by making sure that their experience inside Bermuda is taken care of. How can we now enhance their experience further and be competitive? And that's where we really want to go. And when you're doing that analysis internally, sometimes you can suffer from local blindness. It's difficult to see how you can improve your standards and training internally when we're so close to your own organization. So having the NSSC come and then do that for you is like an extension of your organization, of your team. And so I think that this is a key tool for innovation, standards and training certification, and that the NSSC's stamp really does that. It was important for us to get the NSSC's stamp of excellence.
Welcome back. Well, Police Commissioner Stephen Corbishley has called on licensed premises to take what he termed social responsibility for the welfare and conduct of their patrons. This follows violence at the Bailey's Bay Cricket Club in the early hours of this morning, which saw bottles thrown at police after they intervened to stop a fight. Tasers were used by officers to bring the violence to an end, with 4 men arrested. The commissioner said in a statement he would not tolerate behavior like that seen at the club, and noted that the authorities could close offending premises. Turning to weather now, and another beautiful evening outside on our camera on the broadcast tower. But what's the outlook for the weekend? Here's our AccuWeather forecast with the answer.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
Good evening, Bermuda. I'm your AccuWeather meteorologist, Daji Iswan, and the BF&M Insurance Group is pleased to bring you tonight's AccuWeather forecast. As we head into your satellite, can't help but notice we have an area of disturbance pressing near Bermuda. Some of that activity is going to come into our area as it drops south. Also want to point out Hurricane Florence continuing to track its way in towards the Carolinas, made landfall earlier this morning and still bringing very devastating conditions out towards the Carolinas as well as in towards Virginia Beach. Now, here at home, we're removed from all of that wet weather, but we will once again be looking at our shot for some showers and thunderstorms tonight. Sitting in the lower 80s right now, humidity around 75%, and that wind coming out of the northeast around 10 knots. Waves in the reef 1 to 3, waves out 4 to 8 feet. And for your upcoming tides, your low tide at 7:16 p.m. on this Friday, next high tide at 1:06 a.m. on your Saturday morning overnight, and then following a low tide at 7:07 a.m. on your Saturday. Keep in mind, we have that area of a disturbance in our area, and that's going to allow for a small craft warning through Saturday night at least. That means very rough surf likely, so if you have to be on the boat, something to keep in mind. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, Thunderstorms cannot be ruled out, and we'll still be looking at wet conditions into tomorrow. But for tomorrow, we are looking at a better chance to get rid of those thunderstorms, some peaks of sunshine likely, and also going to feel breezes as that shower activity comes on through. We're topping off at 85 for your Saturday and a low of 76 degrees. Current conditions across the Caribbean, Jamaica looking at showers and the chance for thunderstorms. Barbados also looking at clouds. Isaac continues to press its way into the Caribbean Sea, but losing energy. Trinidad, you're going to be looking at some wet conditions as well. Spotty in nature, topping off in the lower 90s and cooling down into the upper 70s. Now, if you're taking a trip, getting away, Toronto topping off at 81 degrees. Plenty of clouds out there. And towards New York City, also looking at clouds sticking around with a high of 76 and a low of 63. And towards Miami, keeping our typical flow here with moisture coming on in the afternoon and evening, bringing the chance for some thunderstorms out towards southern Florida. Atlanta's in a nice sweet spot, 91 degrees, removed from any moisture and rather hot. 91 for your high and cooling down into the lower 70s. Now, for our extended forecast, you're going to need the chance. You're going to be looking at the chance for showers on your Saturday. By Sunday is when we anticipate most of that moisture to be working its way out of the area. Temperature's not going to be changing here much, remaining in the mid 80s through your midweek forecast. Sunday, Monday into your Tuesday, plenty of sunshine, but by midweek, going to notice clouds increasing here across Bermuda.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
My name is Kevin Roberts. I'm a taxi driver / ambassador. My father's with BF&M, so am I. Half of my family always been seen to be with Bermuda Fire Marine. I tried a different provider at one time, but I wasn't too happy with the competition because back then it took too long to settle claims. They questioned every claim, and I never really had that problem with BF&M. I'm quite happy with it.
This is Jane. Jane has been living independently until her recent fall. Because of the injury she sustained, her mobility is now limited. Jane chose Bermuda In-Home Care to assist her with her activities of daily living. The caregivers at Bermuda In-Home Care are trained to care for individuals with limited mobility. They incorporate exercise and activities into Jane's care plan given by her doctor and physiotherapist. The caregiver helps the family select the right medical equipment from Lighthouse Medical Supplies. Lighthouse Medical Supplies have certified durable medical equipment specialists available to help. Falls are the #1 cause of injury in older adults. Falls lead to head injuries and hip fractures. Fall prevention is critical. Call Bermuda In-Home Care to speak to one of our home care specialists. Call us now for a free home care assessment, 705-4424, or visit us at www.bermudainhomecare.com.
Bermuda. Join us at the Snorkel Park Beach and Bermuda's favorite old school DJs for a fun night of dancing under the stars to the best of old school R&B, house, soul, reggae, soca, calypso, pop, hip-hop, and more. It's Solid Gold Saturdays. The grown-up party, the big people party, dressed smart and sexy with a spectacular DJ lineup. It's Mikey B, Malcolm Lethal Weapon Smith, DJ Iceman, Marky T, Juggling Jason, and yours truly, the Matrix Ninja Cutty. I will be there with special live performances by reggae sensation Mox. Gate open 8 p.m. Admission is free before 10. $10 after. So get there early. Snorkel Park Beach, Solid Gold Saturdays. DJ lineup for September the 15th. Juggling J, Mikey B, Malcolm Lethal Weapon Smith, and Iceman. See you there.
Nearly 2 tons of trash, including glass, plastic, and even old bike engines, have been pulled from the seas around Bermuda over the summer as part of a weekly cleanup project. Organizer Rhea Gibbons and others meet every Sunday to prevent the potentially harmful objects from damaging marine habitats and harming wildlife. Jasmine Patterson reports.
Rhea, a master's student living in Spain, has traveled extensively to China, Bali, and other locations with high levels of environmental pollution. It prompted her to take action closer to home.
One day, me and my mom were at Southlands and we were like, let's go for a nice little beach swim. And I grew up in Warwick Paget area, so for me, that's really home. When I come back to the island, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to Southlands. I'm going to sit off. I'm going to listen to the music. And we got there and it was like, oh, but there's all these microplastics and there's things that are you can see as marine debris that's being deposited on the shores, and it was kind of like, so we did a little cleanup us that day, and I had gotten in contact with Weldon Wade about doing some cleanups when I got back. And then I reached out to him and we were like, cool, let's do it on Sunday. And then it was like, okay, cool. This week it was the three of us. The next week I think it was just me. The week after it was the three of us again. And then the following week there was like 15 of us. And I was like, oh, okay.
The crew managed to remove 666 pounds of marine debris in one day from 9 beaches, which is a catchment area that collects all forms of rubbish. Week after week, more people came together for the cleanup effort. And while it's not a new concept, it's one Rhea feels is often ignored.
There's a problem in plastic uses in general in the world, which you can see by the marine debris that's been deposited in the 9 beaches area. But then when we start to come to a place like this with Coney Island, where you're seeing bikes being dumped, jet skis being dumped illegally that have been stolen, wheelbarrows, pieces of antennas, tires, batteries, it starts to suggest that also there's a problem in how we treat this space. So this trash is a lot of bottles, but bottles that have been here for time. We're talking 30 years.
This past weekend's collection at Coney Island proved a success, but the main concern is for marine life that can become entangled in foreign objects and pollutants. Fish also run the risk of eating microplastics, which eventually end up on our plates.
I was down in the mangrove swamps and picking out bottles that were, really, they were buried in the mud. And we're just like throwing out the bottles, somebody's catching them, putting them in a bag, and just coming back with bags and bags and bags and bags of bottles.
Rhea points to certain countries that have taken legislative action to ban single-use plastics and other methods.
Even though that's not directly related to a trash problem, it's showing that overall we care. And I think that that's really what can be done for everybody, for themselves, for the community, for the world, is just to care a little bit more and to be a little bit more mindful of how we are living.
As Rhea returns to Europe to finish her studies, the group will continue its weekly cleanups every Sunday. If you're interested in getting involved, there is also the annual EY Bermuda Coastal Cleanup event with KBB at Whalebone Bay this Saturday from 9:30 a.m.
Well done, Rhea. You're an inspiration. The Bermuda Maritime Operations Center is coordinating 2 ship medical evacuations later tonight and early Saturday morning. The Panama-flagged container ship MSC Lucy is due off the East End in the next few hours to disembark an injured crew member. And the cruise ship Seven Seas Navigator is due off Bermuda in the early hours of tomorrow morning for the medical evacuation of an 84-year-old female passenger suffering from abdominal pain. Still to come, Reading the Island, a course on Bermudian literature lays bare some of the major fault lines in the minds and souls of islanders. Plus all the latest sports news, that's in just a few minutes.
Check out the great products at our $4 Depot stores. Party bags, candles, soaps, and a variety of health and beauty items, even candy. A number of kitchen items, aluminum baking pans, an assortment of socks in various sizes, even baby products. For choice of items for only $2.50 each. Stop by any of our 4 stores today. The Dollar Depot, stretching your dollars further.
From sunup to sundown, a dedicated team of highly skilled workers using state-of-the-art technology quietly work to keep Bermuda moving. Bermuda's national and commercial institutions and its people rely on goods imported through Polaris from across the globe. Over 30,000 containers are unloaded each year, representing everyday goods, groceries, vehicles, and so much more. Polaris Holding Company is the powerhouse group behind Bermuda's docks with interests in heavy equipment and real estate. Polaris is quietly powering Bermuda.
It's a big world out there. An 8 billion person population can make 65,000 seem so small. But Bermuda punches well above its weight. It's a leading offshore financial services center, one of the largest insurance and reinsurance markets in the world, and a promising new hub of financial technology.
Blockchain virtual currency businesses, is that the best thing for the economy?
The breakdown tackles the high-level concepts.
Despite coming in, the bank left with a PE ratio,
but cuts through the technical jargon.
Fancy way of calculating how expensive a stock is.
So you can understand not just how Bermuda is impacted by the world, but how the world is impacted by Bermuda.
The Breakdown with me, Tony Waterman, Thursdays at 8 p.m. starting this October.
Well, it's rare that Bermuda sees itself reflected on the printed page, in literary forms at least. But novels, memoirs, and even a Shakespeare play do have connections with the island. And a course at the Bermuda College explores some of the best-known works and writers. Hal Davis went to meet Dr. Angela Berry to discover more about Bermuda and its literature.
Is there still a lot of interest in his work?
Well, there is now that we have this centre.
If anywhere can be said to be the geographical centre of fiction about Bermuda, this is it. The Brian Burland Archive at Bermuda College holds papers, art and manuscripts about the island's best-known and most acclaimed author.
I want you to have a look at this.
Burland wrote 8 novels for adults, many dealing with Bermudian issues or set on the island, winning international recognition. Dr. Angela Berry says it was his determination that set him apart.
All I can say is he's the one with the most critical acclaim. That's what I can say. And he also has done more because Brian decided that he was going to be a writer. He was not going to be a college lecturer and try to do some writing at night and at the weekends. He was going to sacrifice everything to be a writer. And because of that, he was able to produce a great body of work.
At the centre of much of Burland's work are issues of race. His novel Surprise, for example, is the story of a slave who leaves the island to found a free country in the Caribbean. Similar themes, not surprisingly, dominate the history of Mary Prince, which is also taught on Dr. Barry's course. Mary Prince is now commemorated near the house where she lived on the island. But her memoir is a shocking reminder of the powerlessness of slaves, detailing her inhumane treatment by her white owners here, including frequent and vicious beatings. Dr. Barry says racial inequality has historically been the topic of Bermudian writing.
We are reading the history of Mary Prince right now, and it couldn't be more stark in that particular time. And then what happens afterwards, it's just the legacy of that huge historic experiment, or whatever you want to call it, which kind of pitted one race against the other.
From this day all over.
The pitting of the races against each other also emerges in The Tempest, the oldest work on the course, with Shakespeare's play performed in 1610, only a year after the wreck of the Sea Venture.
Apart from it being something that we can claim, The Tempest is a kind of key text in the whole post-colonial literature. Is a key text because we have the slave owner and the slave. We had the beginnings of the whole colonial enterprise, what roles were being played by the colonizer versus the colonized. So it was an obvious choice. And it also thrusts the name of Bermuda into world literature.
Dr. Barry argues that other issues, like gender and the role of technology, are beginning to challenge the centrality of race to Bermudian literature. But it's a field with few champions. The small size of the island equates to a finite number of readers. And as a result, writers, including even Burland, fall out of print.
If you want to be a writer of texts like that, as opposed to the performance poetry, which means that you have to travel to places, which is what we do have as well, then you have to shoot from beyond Bermuda. You have to go to Bermuda and beyond. Don't ever forget Bermuda, because that's where you were created. Your whole worldview was created there.
So, not an easy task for anyone looking to emulate Burland as a Bermudian writer. They'll have to strike a delicate balance between having international appeal while also examining the issues that make the island unique. Hal Davis, Bermuda Broadcasting News.
think that really helped.
Thanks, Hal. Well, turning to sports, Annabelle Collins concluded competing in a dressage at the World Equestrian Games. 10 goals were scored at the BAA field last night in a Dudley Eve football doubleheader. And the cricket board president and former coach talk about the future of the national team. Earl Basin has the details and so much more in tonight's Sports Report.
Annabelle Collins has finished 57th competing in the World Equestrian Games in North Carolina as the sport of dressage came to an end. Collins finished with a score of 66.118%. The Dandytown Hornets were eliminated from the Dudley Eve tournament last evening following their second Group A match, falling 2-0 to the defending champions PAC Zebras. The PAC Zebras would take the lead in the 25th minute when Marco Warren threaded a pass to Trey Ming, whose touch fell into the path of Sequoia Robinson, who calmly placed the ball past an advancing Troy Hall in goal for the Dandytown Hornets. Both teams created chances, but the second goal was the one that killed off hope for the Dandytown Hornets when Ming's 20-yard shot in the 84th minute beat Hall to his right down low for the 2-0 win. In the nightcap, despite a heavy 7-1 defeat to Robin Hood in Group B, the Somerset Trojans are still in with a chance of advancing to the semifinals of the Dudley Eve. Robin Hood scored early and often in the first half and held a 5-0 lead at the break. Dijon Simmons would give them the lead in the 3rd minute. He would go on to wrap up a first half hat-trick. Tamiko Goda and Antoine Russell would both find the back of the net in the first 45 minutes. Robin Hood would get second half strikes from Philip Parsons and Christopher Ricker, while the Somerset Trojans' lone goal came from Antoine Seaman. CONCACAF concluded the official draw for the 2018 CONCACAF Under-20 Boys Championships that will take place in Florida November 1st through to the 21st. Bermuda have been drawn in Group E alongside Costa Rica, Haiti, St. Lucia, and Barbados. Bermuda's CONCACAF Under-20 men will get underway November 1st against Costa Rica. 2 days later, they will face Haiti. November 7th, we'll see Bermuda face St. Lucia, and then they will close out the group stage on November 9th against Barbados. It was during last night's television sportscast that we reported that Bermuda was looking to host the ICC Americas 2020 final next year. We asked the Bermuda Cricket Board President, Lloyd Smith, when we will see a team and coaching staff announced in preparation for the tournament.
Well, at the present moment, the selection committee is actually looking into putting together a team, as well as the high performance is starting to look into actually getting coaches for this tournament. So the board is actually very active right now in pursuing the next step into going towards the next round of T20. What we're looking to do is not to have a long training period before the tournament. We're looking to actually, hopefully, if we do host it, is actually have a short span of engagements before the tournament so that the boys ain't strung out the whole football season training. So most likely we're going to look into announce the team or coaching probably in late November.
With what sounded as if at present Bermuda does not have a national cricket coach, we contacted Clay Smith to get an update on his status.
Basically, my contract ended July the 7th, since which nobody has really been in touch with me to discuss anything going forward. I did reach out to the CEO to try and get some answers where that is concerned, because already I've had 1 or 2 clubs talking with me behind the scenes about possibly coaching next year, and I really don't want to do any coaching if I'm going to be involved with the national team. So that's why I reached out to the CEO. The last thing I was told was that they are forming a new committee, a high performance committee. Somebody else is going to be taking over because Sean stepped down, and that the high performance committee will be looking at the coaches and make a decision from there. What process they're going to be basing it off of or how they're going to do that, I don't know. To be quite honest, I'm not privy to any information regarding the coaching or coaching going forward. So I'm just like you. I'm in no man's land, just waiting to hear what's what.
Not just Gabriella Arnold competed at the USA Cycling Collegiate Track National Championships, Caden Hopkins was also involved. Arnold, representing Marian University, finished 10th competing in the women's sprint qualification 200 meters, clocking 12:86. Hopkins, representing Fort Lewis College, finished 21st during the men's sprint qualifications 200 meters, clocking a time of 11:42. During the women's sprint single elimination, Arnold would go down in Heat 9 to Stephanie Nave from Milligan College. Nave
clocked 12:69. Arnold was clocked at 12:74. Arnold would then win Heat 1 of the women's sprint single elimination repechage, and she was clocked at 13:08. Robert Edwards represented St. Augustine University in the Chick-fil-A Invitational 8K men's race at the Salisbury Community Park in North Carolina. Edwards finished 20th in 29:34. The Summersby Men's Classic Bowling League season moved into its second week of action at the Warwick Lanes. The new mix-ups went down 20-10 to Team Unsponsored. Team Metro defeated the Telly Bermuda High Speeders 19-11. The Gosling's Black Seal defeated Team Relive 25-5, and Phones Plus went down 20-8 to Team Electric. I'm Earl Basden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
Thanks, Earl. Well, that's all from us here at Bermuda Tonight for the moment. I'm Diane Brewer. Hope to see you next week. But for now, have a wonderful weekend. Good night.